Hi everyone, Colleen O'Neil here from Mediation and Beyond's YouTube channel. Typically, as if you've gone through any of my other videos, you'll see that I normally have someone come on and speak about some aspect or area of divorce or relationships. And today I thought I would take a few minutes just to speak to everyone. And I wanted to speak about something that someone asked me the other day. If you see my Mediation and Beyond, under a little tagline, it says changing the culture of divorce. And somebody asked me, what did I mean by that? What is the culture of divorce? And that individual obviously probably was not divorced, and I didn't ask. However, really what I mean by changing the culture of divorce, and what I'd like it really to say, is changing the culture of divorce one family at a time or one couple at a time. But in my experience over personally, having been divorced, and professionally, is that it could be a lot kinder. It is a very tumultuous, stressed, has a lot of emotions in it. Divorce is probably unlike anything else that I could even equate it to. You know, in research, it shows that divorce is equivalent to kind of like a death. And one of the biggest stressors in life is death, especially unexpected death. But death is probably one of the biggest stressors in our life on a multitude of levels. But divorce is right under that because it is loss. It is grieving. And when that happens, there's a lot of emotions that we all normally wouldn't have had, and that we all don't really know what to do with. And so when you bring something that's emotional and painful into an arena that lacks the ability to deal with pain and hurt, which is the court system, then you never really get out of it, and then you never really deal with it. I'm a fan of divorce not even being in court. And so I think, you know, unless you absolutely have to, and there are certain cases that you absolutely have to, you know, people's safety, domestic violence, abuse, neglect of children, all those things, there is a place for our legal system in our families to keep us safe and protected. And they do, and they try. Nothing perfect, of course. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who aren't in those situations. And there are many of us, thank goodness, that are not. But our emotions can get in the way. And it really is an unraveling of your marriage agreement, of what you agreed to in the marriage. And that can change over time. People change over time. And so that agreement, there's not a lot of room for it to change over time unless you have two very aware people that are able to let their relationship ebb and flow and grow and learn from their mistakes within. Typically with divorce, there's a lot of blaming and hurt and being what Dr. Phil calls a right fighter, meaning you need to be right or I need to be right, and not a lot of listening. And listening is an art. It's not something we're really taught how to do. So what I mean by changing the culture of divorce, it really is changing how divorces are done, changing the outcomes for both the husband and wife or two partners, and for the children, because your parenting, your marital relationship is a legacy for your children, from which it's the platform from which they can then grow their own relationship in the future. There's such modeling that goes on. And I said in another interview I did that I don't really believe that couples understand and parents understand the impact they have on their children's lives, especially when they're young, but really throughout even. And so by changing the culture of divorce, it really is bringing in that element of compassion, empathy, kindness, understanding, and leaving being right out of it, and leaving your anger and hurt out of it, out of the divorce. That doesn't mean you're not allowed to have anger and hurt and those kinds of things, but there's different forms for that. There's divorce coaching, there's relationship coaching, there are therapists out there who can help you do that. And finding that right fit, that right person that can help you on that next journey of your life is so important. And so by changing the culture of divorce, I really am hoping on a global level, not just I'm in Connecticut, just not on my little Connecticut area. It's on a global level. If you can change the culture of divorce, if you can make it kinder, more compassionate, empathetic, understanding, if you can realize that people are going to make mistakes and maybe they didn't make that mistake with malice to hurt you. People aren't perfect. Husbands aren't perfect. Wives aren't perfect. Just like we know our children aren't. Our parents, our own parents aren't perfect and weren't perfect. But it gives us an opportunity to grow. It gives us an opportunity to learn. It gives us an opportunity to forgive ourselves for whatever we brought to the table in our relationship. And it gives us an opportunity to have another chance at growing our lives in a different direction. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. There are many couples who amazingly become the best of friends afterward. They've taken trips together and they've gone on vacations. They've spent holidays together post-divorce. And that is a really beautiful gift to be able to give yourself and to be able to gift your children. And I know there's many of you saying, oh my God, I could never do that with my ex. I don't see how that could even happen. That's not my situation. And really, it may not be. I'm not saying it's cookie cutter, one size fits all. But if you have a hostile, a difficult, a challenging ex-partner, that doesn't mean your response to their behavior has to match. And so stay true to yourself. Stay true to who you are. Don't change yourself to match that person's hurt and anger and wrath. You don't have to be controlled and live in fear because you don't want your ex mad at you, because you don't want them to act out. Don't live less of a life because you're not in alignment with your ex, or your ex doesn't like your new partner, your new boyfriend, your new girlfriend, or the way you're living your life. Don't allow yourself to be controlled by somebody else's inability or lack of understanding or lack of empathy, or because they're still sitting in the hurt and blame of the relationship ending. That doesn't mean you have to have one foot in that too and then the other foot in your own world. There's a whole pandemic that's going on. There's a pandemic of racism that we're all dealing with in life right now. There's so much going on. But out of that, what I see are people taking time to look at themselves, look at their relationships, to look at their beliefs and how they've conducted themselves in life, to look at their own inherent biases about different races or cultures. It's given us an opportunity to pause and really look at ourselves in a holistic way. I think this is probably, as much as I hate to see people dying at record numbers, but those of us who are here, who are not sick, we have an opportunity to create a completely different world, both a personal world, a family world, a world for our children, a world globally, locally. We have an opportunity to create so much change. And I have always said that when you have something that's at 50%, roughly, which is what divorce is, that's an epidemic. That is an epidemic. It's a family epidemic. And how it's been conducted to bring that epidemic into a courtroom it really has no room. It has no place, except for those really extreme situations. And so we do need attorneys and we do need courts to help us. But barring that, we have an epidemic in our family lives. And if you can keep your situation together and hold it together and change it together, then we have an inherent responsibility to do that. But if you can't, you have an inherent responsibility to be kind to your partner, to be thoughtful to them, to see what they need so that they can be better parents or that can be a better person. You don't have an inherent responsibility to let them stay stuck. That's on them. How you respond to them is the only thing you can control. That's it. And you can respond in a kind way. And hopefully that person will watch and see. But if you've separated out and you're divorced and you're going your own way, then go away in kindness. Go away wishing that person love and peace, that they can find love and peace in their lives. Maybe it wasn't with you, but that doesn't mean that person doesn't deserve that. And when I say deserve, that doesn't mean you've deserved the unkindness that you've received. It just means let them go in peace and work on yourself in getting to a level of peace. We have such an opportunity right now to do things differently in our family lives, in our health, meaning with the pandemic, and then with our own ethics and our morals about how we can do things differently, how we can do things better. Every one of us has made mistakes that we wish we never did, but every one of us can do better. You just have to own it, you have to recognize it, and you have to change it. And it is my goal with all I'm doing to try to change that culture of divorce so that children have a better legacy, have a better future for how they enter into relationships, and then they can carry forward the torch you hand off about what families really look like, whether they stay together or whether they separate. And you have to remember, it is the marriage that is changing and ending. You're not ending being a parent. You're not ending being a mother or a father. You're divorcing your spouse. You're not divorcing the children. And because it didn't work out with your spouse does not mean that your parenting and co-parenting and parallel parenting can't all work out together. I mean, even if you're married, you're co-parenting and you're parallel parenting. So my hope for everybody is that we can do a better job. We can do a self-check and we can lead richer, more calm, more peaceful, joyful lives, regardless if we're married, regardless if we're divorced. But we can do better, and I can do better. This isn't about me talking just to you. That's about me listening to myself and believing in my own words and trying to grow and change, and taking ownership of when I've messed up. And I have messed up. I don't know anybody that hasn't. It's in the learning from it. It's in messing up and taking that opportunity to do better. And I hope we do better in the world of divorce. I hope it's kinder. I hope it's more thoughtful. And I hope our children are the precious gems as a result of our doing better that move marriage and divorce, because it will always exist, better into the future. That it will look different in their generation. But it will only look different if we do it differently now. Thanks for listening, for my thoughts, and I really appreciate it. Please look for my next video coming up. I have some really good things coming up, and I hope you join me. Thanks so much.